Hey, Lila. Hi, Krishna.
Sure. Hiri hiri.
Hi,
So nice. So excited you're here.
Now I
I just told,
feel intimidated.
come on. I just told Sakava how you're on and she's coming on. So
Uh-oh. Chai, nice to see you.
you too. I'm excited.
Wow.
Well, thank you, devotees, for showing up. We have an exciting speaker, and he's all Lila, so you can get a bucket of popcorn while you are there enjoying this fabulous tale of major incarnation, one whose name we chant daily. Oh, we should chant daily if we don't. So, okay, I'm gonna read your bio. Sure.
You've never heard me speak before, so I don't know how you could say such a thing. I'm excited.
We met many times, and you never stopped speaking. So how can you do that?
I never spoke publicly before you.
Okay.
Only private. Okay.
No, this is under Divya's recommendation. She said you're a fantastic storyteller, so I trust her, and there you are. Okay, so I'm gonna edit your biography as I read it.
Oh, please. I didn't read it because I would edit the whole thing, but Ramananda wrote a lot of that in.
Well, it starts by saying Mother Kamalini Devi Dasi. So I'm gonna just say Kamalini Devi is a seasoned preacher and the emblem of sobriety and seriousness in Krishna consciousness. Did you write this?
No way. Ramananda wrote it. I mean, I wrote some things, and then he wrote all those other flowery words.
Okay. She's a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I don't think women like to be called senior anything, isn't it?
I don't mind.
And became a devotee in 1972 after receiving a Bhag to Godhead magazine and an invitation to a Sunday love feast. Who gave you the magazine?
A brahmachari, I don't know who, in Brooklyn, New York, on the street.
Okay. Kamalini Devi was initiated by Srila Prabhupada on January 1st, 1975. Was he present?
No, Kirtanananda performed the yajna, I believe, or no, he chanted on the beads anyway.
Okay.
In Brooklyn.
So Prabhupada chanted on the beads or Kirtanananda chanted on the beads?
I think Kirtanananda chanted on them. Prabhupada wrote in a letter that he should chant on them.
Do you still have your original beads?
No, they got taken. Yeah, all my things were stolen in the Manhattan Temple. Here you go, Pisha. I will go, Pisha Ji.
In 1976, she married Apurva Prabhu, one of ISKCON's most celebrated cooks. She has two adult children, Gaurangi Priya Dasi, formerly Panchatattva, whom we know from a very long time ago when she was very small, and Amala Harinam, formerly Amala Purana, who was very devilish while he was growing up, very, but turned out quite good, I would say. As well as 4 grandchildren. Her primary devotional services had been book distribution, teaching devotee preschool, and assisting Apurva Prabhu in several Govinda restaurant endeavors and prasadam catering. She and Apurva reside at the New Goloka Temple community in Hillsborough, North Carolina. I have some roots there. I helped start that temple in 1984. So tell me, you go back to Godhead magazine, and then what? You read it and you understood it and you joined?
Well, I'll tell you, the very first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada's article, as is the tradition, I was like, wow, this is it. This is the answers to my questions. And I received an invitation to the Love Feast. And in the Back to Godhead magazine, it had a picture of a Harinam party. You may be familiar with that one. It's in Manhattan in front of a big office building, and they're in a circle dancing, and they have flags. And I just kept thinking, it's going to be like this, like they said, chanting, dancing, and feasting. So I went right away to the Sunday feast, and it happened to be on Govardhan Puja, which I didn't realize till the next year when they enacted the same drama and everything. So yeah,
And what? They just say, I'm staying?
no, I was very slow. Took me a year and a half to move into the ashram. Like, unlike many people, like my husband, they moved in immediately. As soon as they went to the temple, they just went and got rid of their possessions and came right back. But I was visiting for a year and a half in the Brooklyn Temple on Henry Street.
Who was the closer? Who convinced you to join?
Oh, I would say two people, Jadharani and Mamata, because Jadharani said, when are you going to move into the temple? I said, oh, I like a more peaceful life than this. And she said, your body might be peaceful, but your mind will never be peaceful. And then Mamata said to me once, when are you going to move in the temple? I said, you think I would be allowed to move in the temple? Like, I thought I was unqualified. And she said, sure. So I met Gopijana Balaba, the president. He said, you have to come every day for Mangal Artik and stay till 9:30 at night for 2 weeks before you can move into the temple. And I had to take the subway in New York at 3 o'clock in the morning and then walk, it's like about 10 blocks from the subway to the Henry Street Temple. So here I had to walk that in the middle of the night. But anyway, I did it. I passed the test, and then I got to move into the ashram.
We are very glad you did.
I'm very glad I did too. Thank you.
Okay, so you're gonna talk to us about Ram Lila. Please take it
Yeah,
away.
thank you so much. Okay, I feel really honored that you have invited me and all. So we'll just sing for a minute or two, just a little minute. I know maybe everyone else will be on mute, right? Because it
Yes.
doesn't,
Are you,
just,
if you're playing cards, play them away from a microphone. They actually amplify quite a bit.
Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. 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 Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Now, the Ramayana has 24,000 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000. So in such a short time, it will be difficult to fit too much in to this talk today. Now, one thing is, in October is Ram Vijayotsava. So perhaps in October, we can discuss the latter part of the Ramayana. And today I'll just talk the beginning part of the Ramayana. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, there are 2 chapters devoted to the Ramayana. And Maharaj Pariksit, he wanted to hear more. Like, what? Only this much? Because he had always been hearing Ramayana, and he's like, that's all I get to hear of the Ramayana. And Sukadev Goswami said, you only have 7 days, and we're already halfway through that time. And if I tell the whole Ramayana, that will be all I can tell, and we won't be able to go on. to the 10th, 11th, and 12th cantos. So we're going to have to just abridge it. And we know in all the many different cultures, Eastern cultures of the world, the Ramayana is very well known and is depicted in all kinds of art and drama and song, storytelling. So it's very popular. And if you read the Ramayana, different versions, there's always different nuances. So like slightly different details. And so anyway, how did this Ramayana come to be written by Valmiki? So one morning, when Valmiki was going to take his morning bath, he saw these two lovebirds in a tree. And what happened was, all of a sudden, a hunter shot the male bird. The male bird fell down dead, and Valmiki, he like right away he cursed that that hunter for killing the bird, and he said to that hunter like you, he said, you just as you have shot this bird, you will be cursed. He said, "Oh, killer of birds, as punishment for your heartless murder of an innocent creature engaged in gratifying his mate, you will never find peace of mind for endless years." And as soon as he said that, of course, this is all in Sanskrit, but when he said it, he immediately checked himself. And he said, how could I give vent to such anger? Because I mean, a sage, like he's, very renounced and very knowledgeable. And how could he become so angry? And he said, this is really not proper. Like really, we don't get so much involved in the lives of the birds and the beast. And we usually just don't pay much attention to it. Of course, we appreciate all the creatures and we appreciate their beautiful singing and everything. So he was feeling like that this is not proper. And then he sat in meditation, as he did every day, and he wanted to like dissolve his anger and to be peaceful once again. And then when he said that verse, though, he thought, how did I come to speak such eloquent poetry? Like it was perfect meter. And he had disciples with him. They just said, let's just keep chanting that, even though it was a curse, because the meter is so perfect. And perhaps he could use it in another way. So then when he meditated, Lord Brahma came and appeared in his dream. And Brahma said that now, just as you have chanted that verse, I want you to write the Ramayana in the same meter. And so that's what gave it. And then and then it stated that the story of the Lord and his consort, born as mortals, experiencing human sorrow and establishing Dharma on earth, was sung by the Rishi in words of matchless beauty. And Brahma's words have come true. As long as the mountains stand and the rivers flow, so long shall the Ramayana be cherished among men and save them from sin. So here it is, millions of years later, and we're still hearing the Ramayana and still deriving great pleasure from hearing the Ramayana. It's the oldest of the epics from India, and like I say, renowned in many different circles. So, there's always like history, like some of the main protagonists of the novel, of the epic, there's a whole pre-history of why they have that particular form and who they were in a previous life. But perhaps I'll just skip that and go on to what happens is that King Dasarat, so here we'll just begin. There's a lot of prelude to all of this as well, but King Dasarat was very sad, as you can imagine, because for a king, it is a universal, perennial problem if they don't have a son, because the king needs to have a son to take over the kingship after he leaves, generally leaving voluntarily to engage in meditation and perfecting their life at the end of their life. And so he didn't have a son. Do you know how many wives King Dasarat had? We hear of his 3 principal wives, but he actually had 350 wives. So it reminds me of King Chitraketu a little bit, but because he never had a son. So then when Vashishta Muni, he was like his guru, and he told him how sad he is and how he wants to retire, but he can't retire without a son. So Vashishta, he consulted with different sages, and they knew that this Ravana, see, the whole problem was Ravana causing so much trouble that because of him, Lord Brahma went to beseech the blessings of Lord Vishnu and the help of him. And previously, Lord Brahma had given a benediction to her, Ravana, that he could only be killed by a man, but but Ravana had no such fear of man. It said he was invincible. He was invincible to the demigods, the asuras, Gandharvas, and other such beings. So Ravana was fearless, and he was a wicked person, as we all know. So now Ram is coming in for that purpose, to annihilate Ravana. I mean, that's one of his purposes, and to engage in these beautiful pastimes. I was thinking, like, if somebody asked you, what is the Ramayana about? Like, what would you say? You would say, first of all, I just wrote a few things I thought of. It's about keeping our word, a sense of honor, and it's about respect, obedience, love, duty, chastity, fidelity, truthfulness, honoring one's word, beauty, royalty, culture, strength, valor, heroism, faith, dharma, and upright conduct, emotion, grief, despair, separation, omens, jealousy, wickedness, evilness, abandonment, effects of bad association, curses, sorrow, deception, and reversals. Also, friendship, heartbreak, Brahmin Tejas, fame, adventure, magic, mystical saints, virtue, divine forces, knowledge, and compassion. That's just a few words describing what is this Ramayana about, because it is so rich in all of those aspects and all of those subject matters that attract us, that attract the soul, that we long to hear about. And all of it's there in the Ramayana, and in such a way. So now back to Dasarat. So what to do? Doesn't have a son. And then Vashishta told him, okay, what we should do is have a sacrifice, and the sages have conferred that they know, they can see the future. And it has been foretold that not only will you have one son, but soon you will have 4 illustrious, very highly qualified sons. And so we will perform this sacrifice. So they all get ready for this big sacrifice. And then as they are, all the Brahmins are there chanting their mantras, as we know, and then out comes a personality, like effulgent personality,
All right.
carrying a golden pot. Yeah.
All right, Prabhuji. Take care. Okay.
All right. And the golden pot has ambrosial nectar in it. And this personality tells like a demigod. He tells Dasarat, here, take this and give this ambrosial nectar to your wives, and very soon they will conceive children. And so he gives half of that. He goes home with the queens. Everyone is very joyful in this assembly. And when they hear this news, they all begin cheering, very, very joyful. So then he goes home. He gives half of the ambrosia to Mother Koshalya and half to Kaikeyi. And they said, well, we should share this and give some to Sumitra as well. So they each give half of their portion. So that's why Sumitra later on gives birth to twins, because she got the ambrosia twice. And she had twins, Shatrugna and Lakshman. And then Koshalya gave birth to Ram, of course, and Kaikeyi to Bharat. So everyone's very happy. And the mothers were just extremely joyful. And then what happens is, after all of that long waiting, they have to go to Gurukula, and they go away, not just, to a day school, and not just coming home for summer vacation. They used to go to Gurukula the whole time, from the time they were 5 all the way until they were about 16 years old, or even longer. So imagine like how much separation there was there. But finally, the 4 brothers come home, and they learned so many different arts. And of course, being sons of the king, they were expert in military arts and archery and weaponry and diplomacy, learning to be governors, rulers. And so when they finally came, everyone was very, very happy to have them back, and how they had grown up endowed with so many godly qualities. Now, what happens is, very soon after, Vishwamitra came for a visit. And when Dasarat saw him, of course, he immediately got up and welcomed him and bowed down, and was eager to serve him in any way he could. The sage had walked for 3 days without eating, and only intent on his mission. So he told what his mission was. He said, yet I've come. He said, yeah, what can I do for you? He said, will you do anything for me, whatever I ask? Yeah, whatever you want. We are simply your servants, and I will serve you in any capacity that I have. Okay, so he said, okay, well, what I want is, you see, the reason I walked here for 3 days is that I engage in this sacrifice every month. And just when, except we never really complete the sacrifice, because just when it's nearing completion, it takes like 6 days to prepare to do the sacrifice. And then at the conclusion, every time, these 2 demons named Subahu and let's see, the one who became Maricha and Subahu, every time they defile our whole sacrifice by pouring down upon it all kinds of impure substances, such as all kinds of bodily liquids like blood and pus and bones and excrement and urine, and then the whole thing is ruined, everything's spoiled, and then we have to wait for the next month to do it again, but we never can complete it because these evil demons, they destroy it all the time. So I've come to ask that your son Ram come with me and defeat these demons. It was like a thunderbolt to Dasarat. He just felt like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. Like, no, my son, he's not even 16 years old yet. He's only 15 years old. He just came back from Gurukula. He's never been on a battlefield before. But take me, I've fought many battles. Not only that, I have a huge army. Let me go. I will take care of those demons. And Vishwamitra's like, that's not what I asked for. I asked for Ram, and are you going to give him to me or not? Because if you're not, I'll leave and go from where I came. And then you can ruin the reputation of your whole dynasty of being very virtuous kings who always keep their word. So you make your decision. And then he's like, oh, let me ask my wife. And she said, whatever you decide, that's what, we don't want to incur the wrath of Vishwamitra Muni, or we don't want to displease him. And then Vashishta Muni calls him over. And he says, you should let Ram go because, Vishwamitra is so powerful. He has so much Brahma Tejas. He will be able to protect Ram. Not only that, he'll teach him. He's going to teach him like all of the mantras for the special weapons, and he probably will even give him some celestial weapons, and he will teach him so much from the Vedas on their way, and you don't have to worry. Now, of course, Vishwamitra said, you just don't know the power of Ram because he's your son, and we know that's very common, that the parents of God don't know that he's God, and so they don't really trust it. So Dasarat, he was beside himself with grief one time, more to come. And he fell down and he was like, begging, like changing his mind, like really, can't you just take me? And so anyway, finally he relented when he was reassured that the boys, and then like he asked, Dasarat said, we'll allow Lakshman to accompany him as well, and Lakshman can help take care of him. This Ram was so very dear to Dasarat. Okay, so now the Dasarat tells the boys, just serve Vishwamitra to your best ability, and like however he wants, whatever he asks, just do it for him, and just be ever obedient to him and absorb everything he teaches you. And so they left, and they looked so beautiful, walking all together like the moon and the stars. And so as they're going, first of all, they met along the way the first demon. There was a demoness. They come across this forest, and it's very dense and dark, and then they start hearing all this screeching, horrible, cacophonous sound of this demoness screaming and just flying around, and things were just destroyed, and trees were knocked down, and then he's there. What is that? They said, that's the evil demoness named Tarika. And Tarika, you see, she had been cursed. She used to be very beautiful. And then her husband was killed.
Kamalini, can you hear me? Kamalini, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, we have to make a technical pause just for a couple of moments. So please hold on that cliffhanger, and we'll be back in just 1 second. Agari Prabhu, go ahead.
Oh, already? Oh, you're talking there. Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be fine now.
Okay. Are you talking to me?
Yes,
okay.
Mataji, I'm all done. You can proceed.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So anyway, this Tarika, she had been cursed by Agastya Muni because he had killed her husband. There was some kind of curse, and she used to be very beautiful. And then he cursed her to be an ugly demoness. So she used to really cause trouble, and they especially like to bother the sages who are there in the forest. And so she went and would just like cause trouble. So they went and Vishwamitra said, okay, first you have to kill her because she terrorizes everyone that she can. So kill her. And Ram's like, how can I kill a woman? That's not possible that I can kill a woman. And he's like, yes, you must kill her because she's evil and she causes lots of problems for others. So you must do it. All right. So then she was very powerful, and all these demons, they have this kind of power that they can like assume different forms, but also disappear. She would disappear and hide behind. First she'd be there, then she'd be behind Ram, then she'd be to the side. So finally he cut off her arms with his arrow, first one, then the other. Even with her arms cut off, she still was alive and still flying around and still trying to terrorize. So then Vishwamitra's like, do it now. Because we know Rakshasas, they gain more power at nighttime. And so you have to do it now before the night comes, where she'll gain even more. So he shot her and she went screaming and fell to the ground dead. So that was a big victory. And so then they proceeded. And, as they were traveling later on, Vishwamitra told them the whole narration of the descent of the river Ganges and how the Ganges came down and the whole thing, Bhagirath, and that's also in the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. All right, so now they go and they're going to Vishwamitra's hermitage where the sacrifice is about to start. All the sages, like I said, it's 6 days. They're all very busy getting everything ready, doing different parts of the sacrifice. And Vishwamitra, they go and say, what service shall we do now? And then the sages tell them he's not speaking for 6 days. He observes a vow of silence and he just internally prays. And so he's not going to talk to you for 6 days. So they're wanting to know, okay, when is it going to happen? When are those two going to come, Maricha and Subahu? And then Vishwamitra tells them, okay, today's the day. Today's when they will come and defile the sacrifice. And sure enough, right when the completion was almost there, they came and defiled it again. And this time it was a terrible fight because they were quite powerful as well. And so they were fighting and shooting weapons and all of that. And then, of course, what Ram did, he didn't kill Maricha. We know Maricha plays an important role in Ram Lila later on. You see, these two, Maricha and Subahu, they were like lieutenants in Ravana's army because Ravana thought, I don't need to deal with these mere humans. I'll just send those, my cohorts, to deal with them. And so he shot Maricha, but he didn't kill him. He went flying 800 miles. That's probably like from here to Missouri, I'm guessing, like a long distance. And he went right into the ocean. So he wasn't killed, Maricha, but Subahu, he did. He shot him and he killed him. So now all of the sages are so, so happy. They're so pleased with Ram and Lakshman, and they come and congratulate them and thank them for all of this. Now Vishwamitra is telling them, well done, well done. And since we're on this side of the territory, not so far from here, still, a few days walk at least, there is going to be a big sacrifice by King Janaka. It's a Swayambara ceremony for his daughter, but besides that, many princes are coming to see this bow because he has a very special bow. it's a bow given by Lord Shiva, because one time Lord Shiva was, there was a sacrifice and they did not offer oblations to him like the Daksha Yajna. And they didn't offer oblations. So he became angry and he said, I'll cut off your heads, and then they right away retracted. Okay, sorry. Here, please accept these oblations. And anyway, there was going to be a fight, but Shiva left his bow there. It's a celestial bow, very, very heavy. And it has like studded with gold and jewels. And it is so big and so heavy that King Dasarat kept it in, I'm sorry, King Janaka kept it in his temple room in an iron chest, and that was also very nicely decorated with filigree and jewels. And then the bow, when the chest was open, one could see that bow, and many princes came because there was this Swayambara. Apparently it was going on for some days because many princes had come, and King Janak had arranged beautiful palaces, like marble housing for them to stay in, and all kinds of entertainment and all the finest food and everything. Even Ravana had come. Ravana is unbelievably powerful and could defeat everybody. I mean, everybody so far that he met, he could defeat them. And so then what happens is Vishwamitra says, Ram and Lakshman, they would like to see this bow. And you see, when Janak saw them, he thought, oh, I hope my daughter chooses one of them for her husband. I hope they can lift the bow. And why did he have that unusual Swayambara? Because this bow was so heavy, it took 300 men to wheel it. It was on a cart with wheels. And just to move it, like for ceremonies and different festivals, this bow would be present, but 300 men. And then one day, King Janak was walking by the temple room, and his young daughter, I'm guessing maybe like 10 or 11 years old, she had a service every day. She used to dust the temple room, and she would just dust all the surfaces. So he just happened to walk, that she put her hand under the bow, lifted it up, and dusted underneath. So remember, 300 men it takes to push this bow. And when he saw that, he thought, wow, like, you see, whoever marries her, they should be stronger than her at least, right? And so I'm going to make that contest, and that will be her Swayambara, whoever can lift that bow and string it. And nobody could lift it. Even some of them couldn't even touch it because it was so powerful, it would just deter them. But all those princes who came, Sita just thought, none of them, I don't think I would want to marry any of them, none of them. I only want to marry really Vishnu. So when she saw Ram, it was immediate love at first sight. And when he did, so then Ram had a chance, and he paid obeisances to that bow, and then he lifted it and strung it, and then pulled and cracked. The whole thing cracked, such a loud noise that the soldiers and the warriors and the kings, princes that were there, they fell down backwards and hurt their ears. It was so loud. So then King Janak sent his messengers to go back to Ayodhya and invite King Dasarat to come for the wedding. And it so happens that that King Janak, he also had another daughter, and his brother had two daughters. And so he said, why don't we do like a wedding with all four of them, my two nieces and my my other daughter and the 4 brothers. So bring them all, we'll have a quadruple wedding. And so they did. And and so it was a grand celebration. And when the messengers went and told Dasarat, imagine, and Kaushalya and Sumitra and also Kaikeyi, how overjoyed they were, because all that time they're worrying that, oh, these young boys, well, at least, Rama and Lakshman, they're fighting these Rakshasas, and they were worried about them. So now they got the news that they're safe and there's going to be a big wedding. So they all came, and King Janak had told, he said, I always wanted to have an alliance with them, with Dasarat. So this will be a great opportunity for that. And he told that when I was preparing, Janaka said, for a sacrifice, I plowed the field where the Brahmins would engage in the sacrifice, and I hit with my plow a box. It was a golden box. When I opened it, there was a beautiful baby girl in there. And that baby girl, I raised her as my daughter and loved her very much. And she's endowed with all good qualities. And so, so Sita, she deserves the best husband that can be, and Ram is that one. So everyone was very joyful. Then on the way home, Ram had a fight with Parshuram. Parshuram challenged him. So that's another story. So now they go home, and everyone's so happy in Ayodhya. And there was, Kaikeyi is King Dasarat's favorite wife, really, because she's the youngest wife. She's the mother of Bharat, and she's very beautiful and sweet, usually. And then, so every day after work, he used to go visit Kaikeyi. So what happened this day? She wasn't there because earlier in the day, her maidservant, Manthara, Manthara was like her nanny, at least according to Vrinda's book, the Fire trilogy, that ever since she's a baby, Manthara was like her nanny, her nurse. And so she had a close relationship with her. And Manthara was hunchback, and she went up to the roof one day, like anybody here from India, or you've been to India, of course, and you see the roof culture, right? A lot goes on rooftops. People have all kinds of gardens up there, and they have, special rooms and shower. Even Prabhupada's room in Mayapur, right, was like a rooftop room. And so she goes up and she sees the servant girl is all dressed up nicely, and she's kind of skipping around, really jolly and singing, and she's there. What's going on? Why are you dressed like that? And why are you so happy? And why is the city getting all decorated and cleaned? And why is Kaushalya giving out gifts to the Brahmins? Because she's very thrifty. Now, and why? This is why, because that day, you see, King Dasarat met with his ministers and said, I really want to retire now. I've been ruling for a long, long time, I believe 60,000 years, and I would like to retire. And my son now, he's, so eligible, and I think we should coronate him. What do you think? What do you think? And they're like, yes, that is a wonderful idea that Ram should be coronated. And then Dasarat said, something tells me I should do it immediately, do it right away. And they're there, yes, let us consult, astrology. And yes, we should do it right away. So he calls Ram, sends Sumantra to go and fetch him in the chariot, and tells him, my dear son, now you've learned a lot. You already finished school, and you went, Vishwamitra gave you these special weapons and all. So now we would like to have your coronation tomorrow. And Ram's like, whatever, whatever you say, I'm just your servant, and I'm just here to fulfill your every desire, whatever you tell me. And he's like, okay, then you should get ready, and you go and you fast for tonight and engage in different prayers and mantras, and get ready for tomorrow. So he goes home, and then meanwhile, and he tells everyone, tells Mother Kaushalya and Lakshman and Sita that tomorrow is the coronation. Everyone's very joyful. And then, Kaushalya was very accustomed. She used to do a lot of like prayers, and she had like Brahmins in her apartment, in her palace, always chanting, always doing pujas, and she was fasting a lot. And so she said, oh, I will do this, I'll engage the Brahmins and I'll fast for your coronation tomorrow, and you should also fast, and you and Sita. And okay, so then meanwhile, remember Kaike's up there, and she goes, what? Ram's going to be coronated. And she hobbles down the stairs, and Kaike is resting, and she calls, Kaike, get up, you foolish woman. How can you just be lying there on the couch? Don't you know a great misfortune has befallen you? And she's like, what is it? What is it? You didn't hear the news? No, what news? Tomorrow, Ram is going to be coronated. How wonderful. That's such wonderful news. And she takes off a necklace. Here's a gift for bringing me such wonderful news. And Kaike throws it on the ground. And she's like, it's not good news. What makes you think it's good news? Well, why would it not be good news? Like, Ram is will be the best king ever. And King Dasarat is getting old. It's true. He wants to retire. And she's there. Don't you know what it means? Well, no. What does it mean? It means that now, like, your son Bharat is going to be the slave of Ram, and you will become the slave of Kaushalya. That's what it means. And you will no longer have any rights. And she's there, really? Yes, really. Are you sure about that? But I love Ram. She goes, well, that's foolish of you because it's a conspiracy. I know it. So then she goes, well, what am I supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is remember when Dasarat was injured in the battle? Yeah, and he said, I want to give you 2 boons. Well, now's your chance to take those boons. Okay, so you have to ask him to install your son Bharat as the king, and to exile Ram for 14 years into the forest. And when you go into the sulking room, divest yourself of all of your ornaments and all of your beautiful sari, and just put on a raggy old sari, and just take off all of your jewelry. Okay, and then when he comes, don't give in to his sweet words. You have to stay strong and tell him that what I said, I want my son Bharat to be anointed king, and Ram exiled to the forest for 14 years. Okay, so she does it. Now Dasarat comes after work every day. He used to go visit Kaike and just enjoy her pleasing company. And she would greet him at the gate, probably with a lassi in her hand or something like that, or a flower garland, some kind of sweet greeting. And so he came this day, and she's not there. She was like always there. And then he goes in, where's, oh, he goes, I know, she's playing hide and seek. She likes to play hide and seek. So he starts searching, Kaike, where are you? And he goes, into the bedroom, looks under the bed, looks in the closet. She's not there. He looks in the pantry and the kitchen. all through the house. He can't find her. And he's calling, Kaike, where are you? Then he asked the servant, where's Kaike? He said, she's in the sulking room. Wow, the sulking room. So he goes in and there she is lying on the floor like a goddess fallen from the sky. And she's just lying there. And he just immediately goes over and kneels down and says, what happened? Are you sick? Tell me, I'll send for the doctor. Don't you know we have the best doctor in the land? I will send for him. And she's there, no, I'm not sick. And she's being very cold and mean. And he's there, somebody must have insulted you, right? Tell me, and I will have them punished immediately. Who was it? Who insulted you? Nobody insulted me. Then what is it? What can be wrong? Well, do you remember when I saved your life on the battlefield when you were wounded? Well, of course I remember it. And then you granted me 2 boons. And I said, oh, the best boon is that you're still alive. I don't need any boons now. I'll just take them in the future. Yes, yes, I remember. Well, now's the future. And I would like to redeem my boons. Sure, what is it? What do you want? Well, I want my son Bharat to be installed king and Ram sent to the forest for 14 years. And Dasarat's like, what? Like, are you joking or what? Like, tell me that it's not true. No, it is true. First of all, you promised me that you would keep your word, that whatever I asked, you promised in the name of Ram. So now, are you going to keep your word? Kind of like Vishwamitra, are you going to keep your word? Or are you going to like just ruin the reputation of your dynasty? And people will say, oh, even kings don't keep their word, even to their wives. They can't be trusted. So are you going to do it or not? And Dasarat fainted. He fainted and he came to external consciousness and said, tell me it was a dream. Tell me it wasn't true, that I was just dreaming. She said, no, you were not dreaming. It's true. What I said is what I want. So are you going to do it? And he just was crying and touching her feet, bowing down and begging her, please don't ask. I cannot live without Ram. And what happened to you? Who has contaminated you? Who has polluted you? Because how many times have you said, 2 sons I have, Ram and Bharat, and of the 2, Ram is most dear to me. And now what has happened? Somebody has contaminated you. Like, who is it? And she's there. I'm just asking for this. So are you going to do it or not? And he's like, then he's just like beside himself and really, really in a lot of anxiety. And then she's like, okay, like, yeah, you have to do it. Go ahead, send for Ram right now so you can tell him the coronation's called off. So she does. She calls Sumantra. He's a loyal minister and chariot driver of King Dasarat, and so he sends him. He's the messenger. Go to Kaushalya's palace where Ram lives. No, Ram has his own place actually. So go there and bring him back because he was there at his mother's house. So go tell him I need to talk to him. So he goes and brings Ram back, and Dasarat is lying on the couch, like obviously in great distress, and he pays obeisances. And Ram said, what is it? Why have you called me here? And then Kaike's like, he's afraid to tell you why. Why would he be afraid to tell me? What is it? What is it? Well, I'll tell you that your father is ordering that you go to the forest for 14 years and Bharat be crowned king. And Ram's like, whatever my father says, I'm not attached to being the king at all. I'm just attached to fulfilling the orders of my father. But it saddens me that he couldn't tell me himself. Why did he think that I would object, that I wouldn't be obedient? I will gladly do that. And Bharat will make a wonderful king. too. So I will go and I will tell my mother and my wife and Lakshman that I'm leaving. I will leave right away. Um, I will leave. So I guess like he was supposed to leave the next morning, but anyway, right away. So he goes and Koshali is like, she has this jeweled seat for him, like a throne. She's like, here, sit down. He goes, no, I can't sit. She sits on the floor. I can't sit on any fancy seats like that because now he tells her, now the time it's already getting late, huh? What do you think, Sarvat? Maybe I should try to wrap it up now or what? Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm going too long. Just tell me a little bit before when you want me to stop. Okay. All right. So I know people have other things to do too, but so then what happens is Koshali is like telling him to get ready for the coronation and he's there, well, there's not going to be a coronation. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he tells her, and she's like, what? That is, there's no way you can go to the forest. Like, I can't live without you. And besides, not only the order of the father, the order of the mother must be obeyed as well. And I'm ordering you that you may not go to the forest. And then Lakshman happened to be hearing this, and Lakshman's like, what are you talking about? What have you possibly done wrong that you would be ordered banishment to the forest? Like, what did you do? You don't have to listen to him, that old daggard, whatever. He's just controlled by his young wife, just by lust. We don't have to listen to him. We can overthrow him in a minute. We can arrest him. We can even have him killed. And Ram's like, what are you saying? Lakshman, what are you saying? Don't talk like that about our father. Our father's ever truthful, and he is a great monarch. And it's just that Kaikeyi was influenced somehow, and so I just must obey him. And Lakshman would never, he would not agree. He's there, and Ram said, it's just fate. This is destiny that this is happening. Because again, Kaikeyi has never treated me badly, ever. She always treated me just like my mother. And she treated me just like her son. And so this is destiny. And Lakshman's like, destiny? Well, Kshatriyas don't bow down to destiny. We fight destiny because what do you think? Do you think that my carrying my bow and arrows, it's just like for theatrical performance, just to enhance my good looks or something? No, I can deter anyone who tries to stop you from accepting the throne. I will have them finished. Don't worry, I can handle them all. Excuse me. Excuse me. So Lakshman's like, just order me. And then Koshali is like, yes, it's true. You don't have to take such an unreasonable command. It's not necessary. And of course, Ram's like, there's no way I'm going to I already gave my word that I would do it. And I don't mind. You know why? You know why I don't mind going to the forest for 14 years? Because all of those sages, they live in the forest, and I can avail myself of their holy association, and I could learn so much from them. So it will be relishable for me to be there. It's not really a punishment. And 14 years, that's nothing. I'll be back in a short while. And Lakshman, you have to take care of our father because he's very grief stricken. He didn't really want to do this. So we see here the effects of bad association, that Kaikeyi had that bad association. And sometimes one can just hear something negative about someone that they generally they had great respect for and love for, and then they hear negative talk about them, and then they could change and change their minds. So we see like how we have to guard our bhakti lata bija from this bad association, who some people are eager to tear apart whoever they can. But anyway, so this went on, and then Mother Koshalya saw, I can't change his mind. So she gave in and she said, okay, I give you all blessings. But like I waited, the king, everything he did, nothing could please me until finally I got a son. And then I knew so much joy. And now I just wish that you were returning now from those 14 years, because it will just be unbearable to be without you. Okay, so now he said, all right, thank you. Thank you for your permission that I can go. And then he said, I have to go tell Sita that I'm leaving. And he goes, and Sita's like all, he said, all right, let me get it together and act like everything's fine. But of course, as soon as he walks in, his head is down, and Sita immediately detects just from his face, his sorrow. He looks like so full of sorrow. And Sita is like, what is it? Tell me what's troubling you, my lord. And then he tells her the whole story, and she's like, and he's there, and I want you, to make sure you take care of my mother and my father, and always be respectful, never glorify me in front of Bharat. And don't worry, I'll be back in a short while, 14 years. And Sita's like, what? She just starts crying, and she's like, no way, that is the most insane thing I ever heard. You want me to be under the protection of somebody else, your brother Bharat? Like, whoever heard of such a thing, for a married woman to be under the protection of someone else? Do you know, I was born of in the family of King Janak, and I've been trained since I was a little girl that when you get married, you follow your husband, like we say, in sickness and in health, and in richness, poorness, whatever, you follow him. And now you're telling me that I should stay here without you? No way, I have to go with you. He's like, Sita, you don't understand. It's not like a picnic, the forest is a dangerous place. There's tigers there, and there's all kinds of mosquitoes and different bugs, and the thorns are prickly to your feet. You never even walked on the ground before. And in the morning, we have to bathe in the lake, and the lake is the home of snakes. She's there, I don't care, that's nothing. With you there by my side to protect me, I have nothing to worry about. But it will be worse to be here without you. And if you don't allow me to go, I have to go with you. Otherwise, I will drink poison right this very day, and I will die. She said it multiple times, how threatened to drink poison. And he's like, oh boy, you don't know, still trying to deter her that it's not really all that pleasant. She goes, I always wanted to see all the, the flowers and the rivers and all the trees, and like a camp out or something. And he's there, yeah, that's okay for a couple of days, but we're gonna have to, just eat berries and whatever roots grow there, and also sleep on the ground. You don't have any blankets or anything, and you just have to just wear tree bark you have to, she said, that's okay. That'll be like heaven to me. But to be without you, that's like hell, even if I'm in heaven, to be in your absence. So anyway, she wore him down too, and he agreed that she can come. All right, you have to give away all your clothes. Just keep one simple sari and give away all of your jewelry. And she said, okay, okay. And then Lakshman's like, he was waiting outside the door. And then he said, I would like to go with you then if you're going. He said, no, we need you to take care of our parents. You have to take care of them, like all of the parents, because Bharat is away. And you should take care even of Kaikeyi, take care of all of our mothers. And he's like, no, I will go, I'll walk before you and I will make the path smooth. So you must allow me to go. I'll just be your servant and I will get roots. And you know that Lakshman is a great construction worker. He's the one that built that cottage for them with his own two hands. He built a cottage. I think he bought a knife and a little shovel with him, something, but just to whittle the wood. But so finally he agrees, and then they go to say goodbye. Oh, okay. They go and pay obeisances to the mothers, and then go to say goodbye to Dasarat. And he's like, still like, he's on the brink of death, like literally, he's about to die in just a day or two, in so much agony of separation. Okay, then they go and see Dasarat, and he's like still lying on the couch, like crying, and like, please, you don't have to go. And yes, I do have to go. This is about, and Kaikeyi's being really cold and mean, and that yes, he does have to go. And then they bring the tree bark for them. She had it all arranged, and then Sita holds, and Dasarat said, bring the other queens here as well. And then Sita holds the tree bark. She said, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know how to wear it. And then all the queens start crying. And then Ram says, here, I'll show you how to wear it. And Dasarat's there, at least stay one more day. And he's there, no, it only makes it worse. Why prolong, why prolong it? It's like, breaking a relationship that's breaking up, and you're like, let me just stay, a few days more. It only makes it worse. Better to be done with it, and then the healing can begin, right? So but like that, so he's like, no, I can't stay, I have to leave now. Now the whole city is just grief stricken, and they're like, let us all go, and everyone is condemning Kaikeyi, and let us all go. And meanwhile, servants were sent to fetch Bharat, who was at his uncle's house along with Shatrugna, and that was his mother's brother, and his uncle and his cousin, and he had been there for like at least a month or two. So they go and tell him, but that's another story we don't have time for right now. So anyway, so then everyone, they're there, we're going too. Let this Ayodhya just rot, and Kaikeyi and her son can have the whole thing, and they can rule it. And we're going with Ram, and wherever he goes, we're going to make that Ayodhya, and they could just keep this whole place to themselves. We don't want to be here with them. And then everyone starts following, and Dasarat and Kaushalya, they also, well, Dasarat is running after Ram and saying, wait, and again, Ram's like, go faster, Sumantra, go faster, because everybody's running. And then when Ram saw everybody's walking and the Brahmins are walking, he thought, well, I can't ride on a chariot when they're walking. So he gets down and Sita and Lakshman, and they start walking, but walking fast. And then people are there, we're coming with you. And it's just like grief all along. Then finally they camp at night on the Tamasa River. And then when everyone's asleep, Ram says, okay, Sumantra, take the chariot and pretend like you're going back to Ayodhya. So in the morning, they'll see the tracks and they'll all go back and then come back here. And they go across the river. And then when everyone wakes up, they're like, oh, Ram has gone back. Look at the tracks. He's not here anymore. He must have gone back to Ayodhya. And they all go back, but Ram's not there. So anyway, it's a very lengthy story. It should be like for a week or so. But anyway, I think time is up. Don't you all think so?
No, it
No,
isn't.
really?
No,
Really?
you
You're
have,
prepared? You're
It's-
prepared to sit longer? Well,
well,
I wish I had that stamina.
someone wants to go, they're welcome to, but
Okay, yeah, you just hit the little leave button on your Zoom. But thank you all. I love seeing some of my dear friends here too, like Bhumi Ji and others, and Lalit Prasad and Kishori, Lila, Julan Yatra.
you have do you have a stamina to continue?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so when they
We may continue in October, but
okay,
take us as far as you can.
really? Okay. Your bedtime story. Okay. This is your bedtime story. You know, Mother Yashoda, she used to tell Krishna this bedtime story. Then he would jump up, get my bow and arrow, and let's go and conquer Ravana. And Yashoda say, no, no, this is a bedtime story to help you go to sleep, not to get all excited. You know, you're getting too excited. Now calm down and go to sleep. And so anyway, and also he loved to hear Nrsingadev's story. Okay, so now what happens is he crosses the river, shallow river, and they come to a embankment and Guha. He is a king of like a forest dweller king, you know. And so he takes Ram, Lakshman, Sita in his boat, rows them across the river, and brings them to his little hermit, like a hermitage, but he's a king. And he's there, listen, you just stay here for the 14 years. Just stay here, we'll take care of you. You'll still be in exile. You'll still be fulfilling the order of your father, but you can stay. And they cook a big feast for them. And Ram's like, no, we don't take any feast. We only eat fruits and roots. And he said, but my horses would love it. So give the horse, you know, Sumantra had gone too. So give Sumantra's horses the feast. They can eat it. And no, we can't sleep on a nice soft bed. We're forest dwellers. We're just sleeping on the ground. And so this pained Guha, but then they just got like direction from Guha. Where should we go? Like, what's the best direction, the best places to go? And we like to go wherever there's sages, so we can again take advantage of their association. And so they do. Now, would you like to, you know, then it's like so many different battles that went on, and Ram fighting with all of 14,000 demonesses and Surpanaka and all that. But that's part two. Would you like to hear a little of the history of Ravana and Vedavati and Rambu? Because you get to see a little bit like who they you know, were previously. And well, we already know who Ravana was previously. And but what happened was he just like to cause trouble as much as he could. And he would go around and he used to gobble up sages, like eat them, tear them apart with his Rakshasa horde, like so evil. And he would fly in the sky. So one time he's flying and he saw this beautiful girl named, well, I'll tell you her name in a second because she tells him. And he sees this ascetic girl and she's sitting in meditation. So he brings his plane down, the pushpa, what's it, pushpaka, and then descends and assumes a human form. And he just makes advances. Oh, beautiful lady, he said, let me go see if she's that beautiful from afar. And coming close, she's even more beautiful and shapely. And she's just in meditation. And he said, oh, who are you, beautiful lady with tapered thighs? And she said, my name is Vedavati, and I'm named after the Vedas. And my father, she's the granddaughter of Brihaspati. So I forgot her father's name, but her father was Brihaspati's son. And she's like, I'm just engaging for thousands of years in meditation so that I can get Lord Vishnu as my husband. And then he's like, oh, really? You should, Vishnu, why would you want to marry him? You should marry me and come to my palace and you can be my wife. And she said, you can just go from where you came from because I'm not interested at all. And she's like, and he's like, oh, I like that. I like to have a feisty woman among all of my different wives. You would make a perfect wife. And then she's like, no, I said to please leave here right now. And then he just laughs and he grabs her hair. She had long locks of hair and he grabbed her hair and then she just went like she just chanted a mantra in her hair where he had touched it, it cut it off. And then she said, now you have defiled me, so I'm going to give up this body. And just like Sati, she meditated on the fire within her body, but she said, you'll be sorry because in the future, a woman will be the cause of your demise. So you'll be sorry. And she gave up, she just emulsified, right? Is that the word? The fire within her is flared up and she just was just a pile of ashes left. So that is who Sita is because she went into the earth. Yeah, I think, yeah, well, the ashes went into the earth. So that's Vedavati. And then, but this Ravana, after that, he didn't care. Actually, many women, you probably know, they were very happy to have him as their husband. I mean, he's like so wealthy and so powerful and strong. And he used to kidnap tons of women. And I think like, when people live 100,000 years and they're with the same spouse for that many years, and then comes this like heroic man who will give them anything they want. And I don't know, some of them didn't mind at all. They kind of liked the change, and so he thought I can have any woman I want. And he would just forcibly rape. So he met this Rambu. Rambu is the wife of Nala Kuvera, and heavenly. Nala Kuvera is the son of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, and he approached her, and she said, "I'm already married," and he said, "I don't care if you're already married." And then right in front of all his friends, he just put her on a rock and forcibly raped her in front of everyone. So you can imagine her rage. And she went to her husband, Nala Kuvera, and he said, there's no way I can fight him. Nobody can. Even my father Kuvera couldn't fight him at all. And he was defeated by him. And so then he said, but I can curse him. I have that. I can curse him that if he ever defiles, if he ever rapes a woman against her will, he will die. So now Ravana heard of that, and that's why Sita, he said, only when you consent will I bring you into my and rape you, whatever. It has to be consensual. So that was the curse of Nala Kuvera. Okay, so anyway, what happens is all right, so now they're going into the forest, and Sita's like, oh, this is so sublime. I just love living here. Everything's so beautiful, and it's so peaceful without all of the politics of the palace and all. And Lakshman built that little cottage for them, and she just thought it was a wonderful life. She didn't feel any hardship. And that's when she let's see, let me see what happened first. I think first was before that was Surpanaka, right? So first of all, that's when Ram fought with Kar and Dushan and 14,000 Rakshasas. And because it was all because of Surpanaka, when she had seen Ram, this Rakshasa, roaming around, just looking for trouble and looking for somebody to consort with. And then when she saw Ram, so very attractive, she's like, oh, I desire him. And I think everyone knows the story, but when she went and she's there, oh, you will make a perfect husband for me. And Ram's like, sorry, I've taken a vow that I only have one wife, but my brother Lakshman, he doesn't have his wife here. And so he would make a nice husband for you. And, she's very ugly and gruesome and everything. And then she goes, oh, and she goes up to Lakshman. He's like, oh, don't listen to Ram. He's just joking with you. I'm only his servant. And then you would have to be his servant too, and the servant of Sita. And so you should insist upon him. Soon he will forget that, Sita, and he will want to marry you. So she goes, oh, it is this ugly creature, Sita, who stands between me and Ram. And so, whoops, background noise now. And so she said, I will devour her. And she goes and attacks Sita, tries to. And then Ram says, Lakshman, cut off her ears and tip of her nose. And that is the beginning of the trouble with Ravana. So now my husband has come home, and then he'll make a lot of noise and all. Yeah, you want to say hello, Pati? Look, come say hello to everyone. Oh, you don't need a mask. Look, see? Here's the camera. See all the
Hare
nice
Krishna.
devotees. There's Bhumiji
Oh, really?
and Jagannath.
Oh, wow.
Jai, look, Lalit,
So-
lots of nice.
Haribo, and look at
devotees.
that Vraja Lila.
Yeah, and Shraddhanjali,
Bhumi.
Prema Sankirtan.
No, don't mind me, Apurvaji, but your wife is giving a great class right now. So if you can remain as quiet as possible, so on this, that will be fantastic.
No, you want me to go on? Okay, all right, so now she starts screaming, Surpanaka, and she runs and to her, she goes, you'll be sorry. And she runs to her brother Ravana, who's in a drunken stupor, sitting, with his glass of wine and being served. And then she's like, she's screaming. She said, look at me. And you just sit there, just drinking your wine. And look what has happened to me. This person, Ram, did it, and Lakshman, and they have I was just trying to get this beautiful consort for you because she would make the most perfect wife for you. And I was only trying to do that. And you deserve to have her as your wife. She's the most beautiful woman in all of creation that I've ever seen. And he's there, wow, and you must avenge what has been done to me. So he's like, whoa, okay, I will avenge. So now, so then he goes to Maricha. Remember Maricha, who 800 miles got thrown into the ocean. And then he tells Maricha, I need you to do some service to for me. Okay, I was just looking at the chat. Who's Rama? Okay, so you all right, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go. I guess they're in Trikuta now, and I want you to disguise yourself like a deer and then allure Ram away from the hermitage where they are. And he's like, are you kidding? There's no way I could fight with Ram. Don't you know he killed all your brothers, 14,000 of them single-handedly? And you think I can fight with him? He already shot me 800 feet into the ocean. That I can't do it. If I do that, I'll be killed. And he said, well, if you don't do it, then I'm going to kill you. So he said, well, I guess I'd rather be killed by Ram than to be killed by you. So I guess I'll do it. So hence the, so then Sita is, they're there and she sees this beautiful, beautiful deer. He already knows it's like a suicide engagement. He knows he's going to be killed by Ram. But so then beautiful deer with all sparkling all over it, like jewels all over the deer. And she's like, oh, look at that beautiful, beautiful deer. Can you get it for me? And Lakshman's like, oh, I don't trust it at all. Excuse me. Like they say, too good to be true. Probably is too good to be true. Ram, it's probably a demon in disguise. And Sita's like, oh, it will make such a nice pet. We can bring it back to the palace, and Mother Kaushalya will be so happy to have this. And so Ram's like, Lakshman, she hardly asked for anything. She's like living here at all this austerity. It's such a small thing that she's asking. And if it is a demon, no problem. I'll just bring him down with my arrows. All right. Whatever you say, Ram. And then he's there, but do not leave Sita alone for a moment. Do not leave her. You must guard her by all means. Okay. And then he like then we all know the story, like the golden deer is running and becoming invisible, going behind this tree and behind that tree. We have another friend here too, Bhakta. And so he's chasing and it keeps disappearing and then hiding here, hiding there. And then finally, like Ram is able to shoot an arrow, and right before it dies, it does ventriloquist voice. Lakshman, Sita, help! Lakshman, Sita, help! And then Sita's like, didn't you hear that? Your brother's calling you. And he's there, no problem. Like he's just whittling wood. And he said, didn't you see Ram just killed 14,000 Rakshasas? You think he has to worry about a demon in the disguise of a deer? There's no worries. And she's like, no, you have to go. He's calling you. You have to go right away. And then she said, which she didn't believe. I don't think she believed this. I think she just said it to, to probe him. She said, I know all these years you've been serving us just so you could be alone with me. You want Ram to die, don't you? Then you could take me for yourself. I know that's been your motive all along. And he's like, Sita, how can you say such a cruel thing. You know, Lakshman never even saw her face. He only looked at her feet. And so he said, that's so cruel. And Ram asked me to stay here. No, I know your motive. You just want me for yourself. You have to go. Didn't you hear him calling? And he goes, all right, all right. Well, here. And then he puts that protective shield around with his sword. He puts this protective shield and then tells her, do not go out of this circle by any means. You stay within the circle. Okay. All right. So I think I have to end now because, yeah, many reasons. But yeah, because Ravana comes on the scene at Ram Vijayotsav. All right. And sorry to end abruptly. But I think that, but I'm so grateful for all of your association here. All these wonderful devotees and so many old friends of mine.
Okay, I tell you what,
Yeah.
we'll wait until your husband leaves the house again on a different day. And we'll get you back to tell the rest of the story, or at least part of it.
You mean like soon or in October?
Soon.
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 Oh, sure.
Soon. We'll talk
And
about.
You see, if he was not here, I would go in another room. I'm in the kitchen now where I keep the computer.
I'm going out.
But if he wasn't, if he was here, I would have done it in another room.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Was wonderful. Your power of recall, recollection and memory about names and events is astonishing. Devi was right.
I don't know how much I forgot, but yeah.
Well, you remember more than most of us, and so I will combine to have you. Also, I didn't know that Sita and Ram spoke in such modern terms. Like Ram will say whatever, and Sita will say no way, and stuff like that.
Eternal pastimes.
We thought they spoke.
I'll try to refine it a little because I'm so crude.
No, that gives color and character to the story. It's very much yours. And you spoke long enough to clean the leaves out of 5 pounds of basil. So that was exactly
Wow. Cool. Nice. And is Divya knitting over there too? No, she was doing basil.
It's cleaning basil. We are making pesto for 150 people. So that's why we are doing that. Anyway, it was fantastic. We'll talk again. We'll do it soon. We'll announce it very promptly.
Part two.
Don't miss it. Sita is still arguing with Lakshman about, and
yeah. Okay. I can even backtrack a little bit because I kind of skimmed over a lot.
Okay. That would be fantastic. So please, devotees, now you have the power to unmute yourselves and show your gratitude to Kamalini Devi, who was gracious enough to talk to us about Ram on his appearance. Please do.
Thank you, Kamalini Devi.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, my Kamalini.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Ready. Ready.
That's it.
Have a little